Chapter 157. The thunderbolt still crackles deafeningly, almost lasting for nearly 1 minute, enough to destroy sky and annihilate Earth. The entire space is made pitch black. Only this single bolt is brightly lit even though it's daytime. Inside that flash, the Sea King is being tortured by an electric current up to hundreds of thousands of volts, unbearable. The Sea King's solid defense layer and spiritual power penetration ability have overloaded. He can't absorb all. Instead, his entire body seems to want to shatter. The Sea King is forced to return to his primitive state. The armor on his head also cracks. He screams in pain. The electric chair scene ends. The Sea King is exhausted. Lying flat on the ground, his eyes seem to want to close, sleep for a long time. Divine Elephant and Shaoling see this horrifying scene. Their bodies are cold. This execution scene is also too terrifying. Shaoling involuntarily sweats coldly, while Divine Elephant wakes him up, only able to say one sentence: "Oh, we won." Indeed, they have won the battle that these two powerful people teamed up to fight from yesterday afternoon until now, about to lose, yet just need Divine Tree to come, and in less than 30 minutes it ends. Really teasing people, unbelievable. Divine Tree stands there, casting his gaze to observe this pitiful city. It seems the damage density here is even more terrifying than the battle that Divine Tree fought with Australith. An entire city completely returns to ruins is natural. However, GR's city can still quickly rebuild, but this city can't. The sea invades the land in the future. Even if the sea withdraws, will only be a piece of salty land. Not a single plant or creature can survive. This is the point that makes Divine Tree sigh. But it seems only Divine Tree can help. If help, then help to the end. So in a moment, Divine Tree gently vibrates his body. A series of trees grow densely. All are big trees with strong roots deeply embedded in the land below. This is a long-standing tree species that can resist salt water that Divine Tree has modified. These trees will help the land not to be eroded, aiming to preserve the area of the land. Immediately, a lush green patch appears before everyone's eyes, enveloping this dead city. The surviving people heard the end of the commotion. Knowing that the war was over, they poked their heads out of their hiding places. All exclaimed, "It was the Divine Tree of Misty Mountain who came to help us. He is indeed a benevolent deity." Divine Tree officially became a god in the hearts of the people of this city. In the Freedom Federation, the leader of the Sea Corps here is a king of the Sea Squid King. With a body like a mountain, his dozens of long tentacles are wrapping around the buildings. Using these buildings as his weapons, he is furiously attacking humans. Boom! A building was cut in half by the tentacle of the Squid King. Then, the sea flooded in according to the script. In no time, all the buildings tens of meters high were also submerged in the sea. The powerful sea swept away everything in its path, not to mention the people. Even the large buildings could hardly resist this wave. The advisor is hurriedly carrying a report in his hand and rushing into the command room of the commander. "Sir, the sea beasts have destroyed 5 of our coastal cities, and are now triumphantly advancing, striking straight into the interior." Then, another message from the White House came, making the assistant also sweat. An urgent message. The commander was shocked, immediately stood up. "Speak." The assistant immediately read the information. The mutant tree of the China Federation has just defeated a king of the Sea Octopus King in the coastal city. Now this city has escaped the crisis. The mutant tree is occupying here. According to the Strategic Bureau's prediction, there will surely be another wave of sea beast attacks. The commander heard this news. It seemed that a bit of hope rose. It was a vague hope for the future of mankind. But thinking of the Freedom Federation not having any monster strong enough like that mutant tree to resist this crisis for the country, he felt powerless and gritted his teeth. "Damn it, we don't have any monster strong enough to resist this time. All have to rely on their own strength, and on the other side. Whether we win or not in the end is the most important thing." But at this time, a bald professor walked in and raised his voice. "Who says we don't have powerful monsters?" The commander was startled, looking at this old man who didn't seem very kind, and appeared too suddenly. And what did the professor mean by what he said? "Professor, what are you saying?" Of course, it was the story of the Godzilla from that laboratory. Looking at its body, one could guess its genes, definitely related to the previous sub-dragon, Godzilla is being transported by 3 giant helicopters. The military decided to take it straight to the battlefield. No need for further testing. This is the brainchild of the bald doctor. He tried to stuff all the strongest and most precious genes into this creature. It must be said that this doctor is also too talented. There is no elimination process. Even an evolutionary process occurred, making the material structure of this creature far beyond the understanding of humans now. Boom! Godzilla's first step is placed on the battlefield. This body must weigh up to 100 tons. Godzilla's opponent is the Squid King of the Sea. The Squid King sees this monster, still carrying a happy face and eyes always as if smiling, really loves life. The bald-headed scientist is contemplative. Looking at the monitor, he is extremely looking forward to this performance of Godzilla, because the war has just begun. Whether Godzilla can be a strategic weapon of mankind or not, the answer will be after this battle. Hello Godzilla, such a familiar face. Remember to use atomic breath to defeat the enemy. Over here is the African continent. The Crab King is indulging in slaughter. His distinctive roar covers a radius of tens of kilometers. Fighting with the Crab King is an old man in a soul state, isn't it? The two sides are exchanging punches and slaps like a heavenly punishment. This is a skill like Susanoo from that young prison chief, indeed young and talented. But it seems this battle is not easy. He was originally cold as ice, but now he has to focus, gritting his teeth and fighting with one of the kings of the sea. This Crab King is not weak at all. Transcendent third-order peak, combat power definitely not less than 4 million. In Australia, the kangaroo is in the upper hand, stopping physical attacks to pressure the opponent. The kangaroo's fighting spirit is still very high. He roars on the battlefield, "Don't let these shrimps jump into our land." But the sea dragon heard this and immediately got angry. "Clearly you are despising us," the sea dragon roared. "Damn it, aren't you guys also evolved from the sea?" Wow, this guy seems to be a sea beast with knowledge. Definitely has read Darwin's theory of evolution. But unfortunately this theory is no longer correct. Suddenly the sea dragon felt something was wrong, a feeling of loss. Then he immediately realized, one of the 7 kings of the sea completely disappeared. The spiritual power of that person has no signs left. Immediately, the sea dragon felt his whole body cold, sweat pouring out like rain. How the hell did the sea king get defeated? Could it be that the land has some entity stronger than them? The more he thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. Z curiously stepped into the newly grown forest. The dense trees seemed as if they had been there for hundreds of years. Looking nothing like they were just created, this girl carefully stepped into the forest. Z touched these tree trunks, truly overflowing with an endless strong feeling. Involuntarily Z felt that the effort to defeat the mutant tree of mankind was really futile. His strength was like a god. How could it be said that it could be defeated? Suddenly a voice of a young man teaching rang out behind Z. "Your ability is instant teleportation, isn't it? That's a rare ability." Z was startled. It was really like in a horror movie, where ghosts would appear behind the female lead like that. Z suddenly turned around, clearly seeing a young boy, with purple hair and a grayish skin as if cursed, wearing a high school uniform. Z shouted loudly, "Child, why are you here?" But the strange boy answered coldly, "Because I am the owner here." Z immediately understood. Her legs became weak. Her body seemed to collapse. She screamed in fear, "Mutant tree!" Then, the forest sank into dead silence again. This boy stepped into the center of the forest, where Shaoling was standing in front of the divine tree. Seeing this boy coming, Shaoling unexpectedly spoke, "Master, why did you transform into the shape of a child like this, and even brought back a woman?" The divine tree just laughed it off. "Haha, I have a new skill that needs a little testing." Shaoling leaned her face close to her master, mischievously looked, and then teased, "But this shape of yours really looks like a human." The divine tree felt that Shaoling was also becoming more and more like a human. Now she even knew how to tease. The divine tree swung his hand up, through Z for a tree root to catch and continued to say, "I can use illusion on myself so that humans will think that I am a human. But in the end this entity still can't be too far from the body." Then the boy stepped towards the body of the divine tree. A yellow soul was pulled out from the boy's body, entered into the original body of the divine tree. Divine Tree opened his eyes, speaking decisively. Now, we need to deal with these creatures. Immediately, hundreds of cages protruded. After observing for a while, Divine Tree wanted to find a superior individual to nurture, but it was really troublesome, completely unable to find any sea beast that was outstanding. All were basically a bunch of useless. Like this catfish. Special skill is runny nose. This brother has the skill to cosplay a cartoon character. This made Divine Tree extremely disappointed, wanted to exterminate them all. But this Sea King is a bit special. It seems the evolutionary path has similarities with Divine Tree, making Divine Tree also have to open his eyes wide to observe. Indeed, it is the Octopus King, one of the 7 kings of the sea. The system screen appears. Sea Beast, Extraordinary Level 3, Peak, Great Gift of Life. Absolute evolution. One can absorb and copy external influences and transform them into one's own. Ability that can regenerate and evolve even after being completely shot to pieces at once. Can also directly copy the abilities of other organisms. Special ability. Black lightning summons lightning from the sky to deal a devastating blow. The wicker whips, the dark and thorny wicker is enough to shatter everything. Divine Tree's eyes still lit up brightly. The genius mind once again calculated. It seems this sea beast is very similar to Divine Tree. If now Divine Tree lets it evolve, then probably only 1.5 years later it will reach 4th order. The question is whether when it evolves, will what it learned become its fixed talent or not, and so will it turn into a tree? And if Divine Tree swallows it, then will Divine Tree possess its ability? These endless thoughts finally ended. Temporarily keep this beast, the rest, Divine Tree whispered cunningly. All the rest must become my evolution points. In a moment, all the deep-sea beasts were executed. Evolution points increased dizzyingly. Divine Tree's evolution points finally reached 18,700,000 points. Enough evolution points. The system screen appears again. Enough evolution points. Evolve or not? Divine Tree squinted his eyes. Definitely yes. End of chapter 157.